Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 29th episode of the Sharper Edge podcast with Betty Parker. Yeah, today we are going to tackle yet another people issue. And this one, it's not as much an issue, I think, as it is a solution to an issue. I try to provide those as well. And I thank you for stopping by every week to hear my little opinion and my little effort at making the world a better place. That's my goal. So today is no different. And since I've already done an episode on hate, it just begs for me to do an episode on love because, if you're going to talk about all of the horrors of what's going on in the world today, we have to talk about what's the better side, what's the glass half full side. And I want to offer some hope to people. I do this work around exhortation and encouragement when I go out and I deliver speeches, when people hire me to come to events and be a speaker. I'm always trying to bring some ray of sunshine, some hope, some encouragement to people because I think we are in desperate need of it. I think we are lacking in that area today. There's so much that's going on. I don't know about you, but this past week has been exhausting. We have gone from one major event to the next to the next. And when I talk about events, I'm just talking about social, societal things that have gone on that's caused a lot of angst and fear and hatred and drama amongst the people of this country as usual. I can only imagine what people outside of this country are thinking. They're probably saying, hey, listen, they have become, a lot of times other countries have been described in some pretty negative ways. And the US has been so arrogant to think of itself as better than most people, being this great superpower. But of late, we seem to be in total and complete chaos. And I don't see any end coming to it soon because, I don't know, I think you need a leader that pops up in the midst of all of the chaos, like a phoenix from the ashes, and says, okay, it's time for us to rise up again. It's time for us to be the superpower we used to be. Not because we were powerful, but because we were a nation of morals, a nation of decorum, a nation that showed love, that did put God first and lived out what he espouses. And we're not seeing a lot of that today. That's why you see the chaos. The evidence is quite, stark. It's right there in our faces. When you don't live a morally upright life, when you behave in such a way that goes counter to whatever is in the Bible. And I mean, if you're going to profess to be a Christian, if you're going to be a follower of God, the word tells us to be an imitator of God. I just got through teaching that in Sunday school. It says very clearly that God is love. It also says that, God says, I'm holy, so I need you to be holy too. So the stuff I'm seeing coming out and across these social media platforms, from the top of our government all the way to just regular Joes and Janes out here, it's just been horrendous. So we have hopped from, I think, the Epstein files thing has been going on forever, it seems. And so all of these things keep getting leaked. We are seeing Miss Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mom, that has been kidnapped at this particular point, and nobody knows where she is. We have seen the president say some accidental sharing of a meme featuring the Obamas looking like apes. That was a big controversial event. Bad Bunny just did the halftime show, and people want to deport him back to Puerto Rico. It's amazing how many people don't understand that he is as much an American as anybody else, even though he speaks Spanish. But that was a big controversy, right? So there was just one thing after the other. And people have just been divided. There have been so many opinions shared, so much resharing. The bots have come out so they can keep the mess going. There's so much disinformation, so much hatred and anxiety and stress and tension. It is just overwhelming to think this is how people are living their lives every day, just in sheer anger around things that, first of all, they have no control over, a lot of which has nothing to do with them. It's really none of their business. And a lot of people who just don't know how to act right. There is no self-control. So I want to turn this episode into one of love. And I want to take us back to what is right. I want us to get back into a place of stability and kindness. Now, this might sound like a place of weakness for some of you because y'all like the fight. You like when people are just speaking their minds, and you like the name calling and the bickering and all of the hatred that is spewed because it speaks to the hatred that exists in you. But I got to tell you this, there are more people, I honestly believe there are more people in this country and in this world that want stability, that want love, that want us to come back together and be unified. I believe there are more people who love people who are different from them than there are the separatists and the divisive people and the racists and all of those people that keep causing issues. I believe they're actually smaller in number, they're just louder in voice. And so what we do is give oxygen to their complaints, their grievances, which we should not do. And I think we could stamp that down or tamp that down if we had people who are at high levels, who have lots of power and influence, that would step up and say the right thing. So to get rid of all of the divisiveness, or at least to squash some of it, you know how to get rid of all of it because there are too many people whose hearts are hard and who are filled with hate. But rather than speak to their hatred and their need to oppress other people and to, bully other people and to gaslight other people. One of the things, if you're a person of influence in any governmental agency, any organization at all, a CEO of a corporation, even the leader in your own household, there's so many of you who can say things and people will listen. So the conversation, or at least the statement, should be something to this effect. Listen, I know that right now the country is in turmoil. First of all, you got to admit that and stop pretending that it doesn't exist. I know the country is in turmoil, but we can do something different from that. We don't have to receive or embrace the turmoil. In fact, we need to stamp it out. We need to turn it down a notch. And it's going to start with me. I will not engage in finger pointing and name calling. I will not engage in making accusations against people. I will spend time uplifting people and encouraging people by the plans that we have established to make things work well. I realize not everybody's going to agree with this, because when we are leading from a civil standpoint, we are civil servants and we are servants to the people. We know that as servant leaders, we are to put in place those things that benefit you as a whole to make your living easier here in this country. So in order to do that, we have to make some tough decisions. And sometimes those decisions are going to benefit some people and not others. By the same token, we have to make multiple decisions about a lot of different things. And if you will work with me, there are some places where you're going to win and have everything you need. And there are other places where you might go lacking. But when you're serving over 300 million people, then not everybody's going to win 100% of the time. There are huge benefits to helping your fellow man and your fellow woman. We want everyone to have everything they need in order to live a life that is as close to the American dream as possible. So to make that happen, we have implemented, or we're planning to implement, the following. And then give us your plan. Encourage people, let people know that, yeah, nobody's going to get 100% of anything. But if we work together, if we unite and look out for one another, and if we support each other's dreams, then ultimately people will get somewhere close to what they need. If we remember the poor, if we remember the working poor, if we stop trashing people and judging them and putting them down and making them out to be somebody who's trying to take advantage of somebody else, if we stop calling people names and stop, poking the bear or whatever, the hornet's nest or whatever it is we're doing that keeps people buzzing and keeps people upset all the time, then you'll find a calmer group of people. It's about the culture. It's about the environment you establish as a leader. And if you like chaos, then that's what you're going to get. If you want things to remain calm or to become calm, then you can douse all of the chaos and you can bring a sense of calm to the people so that they're working well together. I find that when people who don't like a particular group of people, and I'm going to talk even outside of our country, of course, this country has enemies. They're looking at, because it's on full display for the whole world to see, that we are at a time where we are our weakest, because a house divided cannot stand. That's the word. Jesus said that. So if we are split because we can't agree on politics, then they're watching us become weaker and weaker. And while we are doing things where we're fighting each other, they're plotting and scheming in the background on how they're going to take us while our eyes are off the ball, while we are not paying attention to what's going on because we're too busy attacking one another. We are opening a door very wide to our enemies to come in and to catch us like a thief in the night and totally just wreck our world. All right. So that's been done in the past and it can be done again. We have to realize the seriousness of what's going on right now and realize that, we can't be each other's enemies. We have to be a united and cohesive nation. And the only way to do that is to look at the things that are causing issues for us and to rectify those things and not to feed into them, not to give them oxygen. And so that requires great and strong leadership, courageous leadership, people to call each other out on things, not to just go along to get along, not to acquiesce and kowtow to faulty thinking and hateful thinking, but to say, I got a spine and what I'm seeing is wrong. And this is not the way we do things here. And I'm going to step up and say something, even if it costs me all I have, I will sacrifice because I would never want to live in a country or work in a company where there is this much division. It says to me that the person who's leading it doesn't care enough about us because they are causing issues that cause the rest of us not to be well, not mentally, not spiritually, not physically. All of those things get in the way of us growing and being more solid in terms of what this world can be and what we can contribute to the goodness of the world. So if that's the case, I would implore you to start thinking about the other side. We spewed out enough hatred. We've spewed out enough venom. We've called each other enough names. We've pointed enough fingers. It's time for that to stop. People are overwhelmed. People aren't sleeping well at night. People are tired. People are feeling worn down and weary from all of the constant chaos. There's something to be said about stability and peace and quiet and calm. It means that there's time and room for innovation and creativity. It's time for and room for new ideas to come forward so that everybody's taken into consideration. It says that when we are unified as a country, that there's nothing that anybody can do to come up against us and win. And it says we retain our position of power and of democracy and of freedom so that no person feels oppressed. And yeah, people will be knocking down the doors to try to get in here because we are that place of peace and freedom for them when they're escaping the hardships of where they are. And they know there's an open door and a light on for them to come to. And we've created a pathway for them to do that in the most expeditious way possible and in the safest way possible. If we have not done that, we can't accuse and blame people for trying to come in the only way they can figure it out. So there's enough blame to go around internally as well as externally. So what are we to do? Well, in the meantime, to bring calm to the situation, if I'm the only voice in the wind that's saying we need to love each other and we need to treat each other better, then I will be that only voice. All right. But I believe there are a ton of other people, based on the folks that I talk to, who want things to change. They are tired of all of the bickering and the fighting and the infighting and all of the stuff that's been going on that keeps us uneasy, keeps us reeling back on our heels, and is producing nothing really constructive. We're being told to think differently in terms of what one person says, and that person is telling us lies. They're telling us that we're all right when we really aren't all right. We know what we're facing every day. We know what we feel every day. We know what we see every day. And they're trying to tell us, don't believe your lying eyes or your lying ears. So if the people hold the power, then the people are the ones that can change everything. So from your individual standpoint, I'd like to encourage you in this way to know that living in anger and stress is not sustainable. It doesn't feel good to you. You don't want it. It's been expressed very clearly by a lot of people. Now, let me back up real quick and as an aside say, there are people who thrive in chaos. They like the foolishness. They live to cause issues with other people. They love bullying people. They love attacking people. They love lying to people. There are people who want the fight. And there are those who will egg them on and say, yeah, I love it, because they speak their mind. They don't take anything off of anybody. We need that kind of, somebody to step in and step up for us. There's a way for somebody to be strong and courageous and bold and to make change happen and make things happen in the best way possible, but they use diplomacy, they use professionalism, they use decorum. So within your household or your neighborhoods or your workplaces or even in this government, if you find a leader who rules by punishment, threats, and intimidation, that is a toxic environment they've created or creating, and you have to live in that. And unless you like toxicity, it is an unhealthy place for you to be, for any of us to be. So you have to step up and make a change yourself. Living under stress and anger is debilitating, and it will eventually destroy you from the inside out. Stress does a lot of horrible things to people's bodies and to their minds and their spirits. Just talk to those people who are experts in it. I used to sell anxiolytics and antidepressants way back in the day when I worked with Bristol Myers Squibb, a company called Mead Johnson Pharmaceuticals, when I was in New Orleans, and I learned a lot about the damaging impact that stress and depression has on people. And I used to call on psychiatrists, but most importantly to family practitioners first, because they would be the first ones to see patients coming in with issues, physical issues. And if it was a good primary care physician who talked to the patient and really dug down, not just in their physical symptoms, but what else is going on in your life. And when they found out that these people were struggling with life's many vicissitudes, right? So, relationship issues, parenting issues, financial issues, marital issues, health issues, all of these things that were really tearing that person down from the inside out, eating away at them, causing them not to eat well, not to go out and exercise and breathe in fresh air, that made them just want to just lie down and do nothing all day because they were so overwhelmed and burdened down by their problems. Those doctors saw a lot of that improved once they helped them to get through all of the chaos and stress that existed in their lives. So, of course, yeah, I was selling them a product that would allow that person to think a little bit more clearly, to not feel so down in the dumps or so jittery and stressed out all day long. It helped them to get to a place physically where they could think through what's my next best step. And in addition to other types of treatment, not just medication, but all kinds of other therapies, then those people could be contributing, great contributing citizens, right? Contributing something useful to society and to themselves. But you had to get rid of whatever the toxicity was that existed within them or around them. And until that was taken care of, the medications were not going to help. You're just putting a very temporary um, a solution to a long-term problem. You had to get to the root of the problem first. And so whatever the stressors were had to be dealt with. And the same rules apply right now. We have to say we're no longer going to allow other people to stress us out or situations to stress us out. We have some agency over our lives. And so as a result of that, we're going to do things differently. We don't need anybody's permission to do that. You know, love and joy go hand in hand, and they are choices. You can choose to love a person, or you can choose to denigrate that person by judging them. And then, whatever stereotypical negative thoughts you have about that person and their whole cultural group, whatever you want to make a part of your life, that you can continue to believe that, so it gives you permission to mistreat people, then you can do that yourself. But whatever you do it, or wherever you do it, keep it over with you and your buds and whoever else is a part of that kind of thinking, who co-signs on it and says it's a good thing, and y'all want to live in that hatred. Go to that sewer yourself, live in that muck and mess yourself, but leave everybody else alone. Okay, especially the people you're pointing fingers at and trying to demean. If that's how your heart is, if it's that dark, where you think you are superior, that your particular group, cultural group, is superior to other people, if you think nobody else deserves what you have, or the things that you have are limited, and so you've got to prevent these other people from getting to it, whatever your faulty thinking is, keep it to yourself. So, since love is a choice and joy is a choice, you can choose to live out each one of those. And what does that look like? So, first of all, in order to love somebody, you have to believe that a person is worthy of love. Now, if you are not a person of faith, I get it. Okay. There are a lot of different perspectives in terms of people's religious beliefs. And even if you're agnostic or atheist, doesn't matter. I know a lot of atheists that believe in love. I can appreciate those who are non-believers but still can show love. And for those who say they are believers but don't show love, I take an atheist over you any day of the week. All right? Because you're a hypocrite. So don't profess to be a child of God and go against everything that he says. And if you don't know what he says, you need to open up a Bible because it's clearly written. I just got through teaching 2 weeks of Sunday school. Last week, we talked about the power of being holy, and we talked about being holy because God says he is holy. So he commands us. He didn't give us an option. He says, be holy because I am holy. So to be holy, and he gives you the whole rundown of what it is to be holy. And it very much mirrors a lot. You find that in Leviticus, by the way, 19. All through there, he's talking about how to conduct yourself with honesty and integrity, okay, with love, with respect, with honor, all of those things, which are really dignified words. I mean, it is about human dignity, and it is about self-respect and respect for others, and it's about love. So if you profess to be a Christian and you haven't read those words, you need to go and open up that Bible. And if you want to join my Facebook group that's called Bible in a Year, by all means, I'll invite you in because we went through it for the entire year, January 2025, and finished in January 2026. And so we covered it from Genesis to Revelation, and we highlighted the major points. So God doesn't do the things that y'all are doing. If it's chaos and confusion, that's not a God. In fact, the word says that clearly too. He is not the author of confusion. So where there is confusion and you find that your leader does that, then your leader is not of God. Okay. And if you're following him, you're following somebody who you're idolizing, somebody who has no stake in your faith and your beliefs. Your values are lining up and they're misaligned. Really, if you're aligning with God, you can't be aligned with a person who thrives on chaos and confusion. All right. So stop judging everybody and everything negatively. Actively give away love. If you want love, you got to give love. You got to put it into practice. If you want joy, you have to practice joy. You have to look for ways in which, and I'm talking about that long-standing, long-lasting joy, not the temporary happiness that comes here and there because of an event that occurs that has a time limit on it. It's very temporary. It's fine to have happiness. I'm happy when I'm celebrating my birthday. I'm happy when I'm celebrating a holiday. I'm happy when somebody has accomplished something and we get to celebrate. And fine. I mean, all of that stuff comes and it goes, right? But true joy exists even when happiness is not there. It's something that's deep down within you that rises up when you need it the most. When you can turn away from the ugliness of the world and say, you know what, I am choosing joy today because I know there is more. And joy says to me that there are other people who are kind. There are people out there who are loving. There are people who are not racist. There are people who would receive me well. There are people who love to laugh. There are people who will help me. There are people who believe and trust in God. There are people who will help the poor. There are. They're talking about what is and not what is not. They're talking about, and they're using words like refreshing and revitalizing and happiness and hope and goodness and kindness and compassion and empathy and peace and serenity and all of those things, right? When you hear those things, it just douses you with the goodness of life, right? So if you have any issue around what it is to live like that, then there's a problem with you and not with everybody else. And you need to check yourself again. You need to check your heart because it is dark, it is hard, it's calloused against what is good in the world. And honestly, we don't want people like you around. Really, we don't. So if you want to just, disappear and go off into a hole, then do that. Hide yourself from the rest of us because we're looking for people who have what humanity can be when they are brought together, when we're brought together as a whole, and one cannot live without the other, how we are stronger when we are joined together. And so that's what needs to be touted in this country, in this world, in our households, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our churches. We need to defy anything that would break us up. We need to be so hardcore in terms of, I will not allow you to break me. I will not allow you to break my family. I will not allow you to break us in this group that we have. And I'm talking about this very diverse group. Say it in your workplace. You got a diverse group of people on a team and they respect each other and love each other and support each other. Don't let anybody come in and separate you. And people will opt to do that simply because they don't like the cohesion that exists between you. They will find a way to whisper in your ear and be cunning and slick and try to tell you, why do you want to hang out with those people? They don't mean you any good. They're not as smart. They're not as good. They're not as qualified. They're not as deserving. They're coming to take something away from you. They are playing the victim role. They get everything they already need. We get nothing. I mean, it's just the constant down talking and downplaying what is in life. And they try to shape and reshape what's going on, what the reality is in life. And they're creating fear amongst you and within you and forcing you, they're brainwashing you basically, and trying to tell you that what you're seeing is not real. See what's right in front of you. Do a little research, ask a question, talk to somebody. Don't let other people tell you how to think. All right. That's the biggest point of this. And if you get out and away from people like that and around people who are more a ray of sunshine, a person who brings warmth, a person who brings reality, the positive reality, a person who's not just sitting in their filth and their muck and want to drag you down into that same hole. If you are looking towards somebody like that, I believe those people can uplift you and motivate you and inspire you. And then life will become better because you'll see the other side. There's not any one side to this thing. There are multiple facets of living. We are multi-dimensional in terms of who we are as individuals. Life is multifaceted and multidimensional. And so there will be times, as you very well know, where things will be going your way, and there will be times when things will not go your way. There'll be times when you'll be winning, and there are times when you feel like you're losing, even if you're not. And then there's the parallel in life where things are working well for you and going against you at the same time. And so you have to figure out, where you want to be in that dichotomy of your life. Are you going to lean more to the side that's positive and working, or are you going to allow yourself to be a victim to the thing that's not working? A lot of this stuff, we can ride it out if we will just be patient in the moment, figure out what potential solutions exist there, or at least, what your options are, and then not become, the only person at your pity party. All right. So joy is the choice today. Love is the choice today. So, because we have options, because we have choices, then you have to choose right. So I encourage you just to douse yourself daily with what makes you feel content. What brings you that joy? What makes that joy rise up in you? And then how do you spread that joy? How do you spread that love? How do you, realize that everything you need, you are already equipped for, and that the rest of the world is coming at you to take away what that is. And it's not material possessions. It's not property. It's not communities. It's not them taking away anything that you can have that's tangible. It's them trying to take away your peace. It's them trying to take away your joy and your spirit. That's who the real enemy is. That's what the real enemy is trying to do. And the way they do that is by telling you that the things you think you're owed, the things that you think you already possess, are being sucked away from you, being stolen from you, and that you got to fight back to keep it and to get it back. And for anybody who's telling you that story, you need to rewrite the story, change the narrative, and refuse to listen to that story, because it is not true. And there are more people who want to side with you, who want to conjoin with you, who want to share with you in some way, out of love, out of peace, and out of joy. And if you seek it, you will find it. Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. I hope that you do find joy. I hope you do find love. I hope that you don't allow people to manipulate your thinking. And I hope that you'll come back to this podcast again and again, and that you will share it with people. By all means, subscribe, like what you just heard, share it with other people. If you don't like anything that I've said, I'm open to any respectful conversation around it. I'm just talking at this point. I'm thinking through what I'm saying while I am saying it. But I also realize that there are other sides to stories, and I'm wide open to other people's opinions. So that's what this podcast is all about. And thank you so much. And I invite you back for next week's episode when I have a wonderful guest with me, and we're going to talk about accountability in leadership. Come back and see me.